G'day. This is Silly.wad by Epic Sonic. Just popped into Ultimate Doom Builder here to have a quick look at it and have a little play around with some of the bits and pieces of it. See if I can show you some sort of quick bang for your buck kind of changes that you could make to enhance the look and feel and the atmosphere of a map. Without spending hours and hours putting minute detail into things. So before we kick off on anything else, I remember that this side of this secret here was not repeatable. So if I'll just change that, move that up to normal as well, because it was a bit of a slow open. That way people can get caught behind here, open it, close it as many times as they need to, and it won't soft lock them into the map. Now there are two chain guns there. That might be an aesthetic choice, I'm not sure. Might be not necessary. Maybe you can have some extra clips on the other side or something like that. That's neither here nor there, I suppose. I'm going to hit T a couple of times just to hide these things for me, just so I can play around more easily. And what I want to do to start off is lower the light level of this. So I've just chosen these sectors, holding down Control, dragging my mouse button down to about 120 is probably good. The other thing that I'll do here is pop some light effects in, maybe a slow strobe or something might be good. So changing light levels is one of the quickest and easiest ways you can to build atmosphere in your rooms. It's quick to do and it looks good, and it offers that sort of contrast. So there's a couple of things that you want to do to enhance the look. There's contrast, so contrast in texture, color, and texture as well. Contrast in light levels, and also contrast in heights. So if you have those mixed up a lot, your map will generally look pretty good. One thing that I'd like to do here, you can see this door here and on the other side and this one here, they're all flush with the surface. It kind of makes it look a little bit wallpapery. So I'd like to actually make little nooks for them here to make them feel sort of a bit more three-dimensional with a door jamb that feels like you're stepping from one place to another. So I'll just probably pop something in like this. So I'm just in vector mode here, V shortcut, then I just right click and drag, right click and drag, right click and drag from the lines where I want it to be. Same on the other side here. Pop it out like that, bring it back there, hit L to go into line def mode, hit insert on that vertice, pop a line along there, pop a line along here, right click to finish up the line drawing. So I've got some nice sectors there. And what I want to do, this middle sector, I want to just bring this door up for a second so I can play around here. Click on these three sectors, bring it up maybe one, can go up to 2 bumps. I'll just do the 1 bump. Same with the ceiling on either side here, going to bring it down just 1 bump, like so. The other thing is this door is quite thick, so generally I would like to have my doors about 16 wide, just so they don't feel quite so chunky when you open them up. Perfectly fine to do that if that's what your aesthetic choice is. Just sometimes it can feel a little bit heavy. Cool. So close that back down. I'll realign this a little bit because it's sort of gone out of whack. Just using the arrow keys. That side's perfectly fine. These textures here, we'll just plop a step texture on maybe this one here, brown one. That'll do nicely. Control C, and I've got middle mouse button bound to paste because I use it so often. Move that around, same again, so top and bottom. And these side door jamb textures, I'd make them something else as well, just to give a bit of contrast again, to make it all sort of stand out and pop a little bit. As for which texture, I don't know, doorstop's sometimes good. In this case, I'll probably go with maybe one of these, probably this one here. It's not going to look perfect, probably not the best texture for this map, but we'll line it up like that and Control A on each of these just to make sure that the textures are all aligned all right. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doom's pretty forgiving. The other thing I'll do is grab these 3 sectors, Control, drag down my mouse just about 3 points maybe, just to darken it up a little bit. You can make them a little bit lighter or a little bit darker, or you can have it the same light level if you want, but I just like to have it slightly different. Cool, you've got your door track, which is great. One other thing I might do is pop a sort of divider there on the floor, just again helps split up the rooms a little bit. Cool, moving on to this room. There's this misaligned texture, which I think you mentioned, but just Control A. Always go back through your rooms when you're done building it and just spam Control A on all the walls. It's a really good sort of rule of thumb to finish out a room, just to make sure nothing's been mucked around with. You've got these nice pillars here. Because they're flush with the ceiling anyway, they don't come down. They're not pedestals or anything like that. I'm going to grab them and just hit delete, just to block out those, stop them from being sectors. It's maybe a personal preference thing. I find it easy to work with when I've done that. 1 second. Yeah, and it might help with the rendering speed a little bit. I'm not too sure about the technical aspect of it. It doesn't matter in a smaller map anyway, but maybe just a good practice. So what I want to do in this room is play with lights again. So good thing about Doom is it's a really abstract game, so you can be really general or weird, or you can play around a lot with your lighting and your looks and everything, because it's all sort of representative stuff. It's not like photorealistic. So in this case, we'll just pretend that there's a massive light source somewhere in the middle, and that the pillars' shadows are being cast out towards the door, the walls here. So I just built 4 sectors there. Just pop out into visual mode. By the way, there's an option you can add somewhere in your preferences here. I'm not sure where, don't recall. That lets you retain your selection between 2D mode and 3D mode. It's one of the best quality of life things you can possibly activate. So have a look around for that. Scroll this down to maybe go 120 or so, just to make it look nice and dark. That looks good. One other thing that will really enhance a room is to give the ceiling a bit of love. So in this case, we'll do something pretty simple. I reckon somewhere towards the center here, just do a 64 long, 64 wide, and however long, 512 in this case, rectangle. I'm just going to bump it up 1 little notch. I'm going to Control C, copy this texture here, I reckon, plonk it on there just so there's something different. Just shift click to select it all, and then just going to drag it up a little bit with the arrow keys. Right click on this and change this to, there should be a million light textures just in the Doom base one, so maybe just this one here even. I'll grab that, and to align this, just going to go to the far end over here so that my mouse or my cursor is closest to this line def here as opposed to this one over here, or that side. And then Control A, and that'll align it based on this line def here. So if we did it over here, for example, it'd just flip it. But in this case, we'll do it this way. Since there's light being thrown down here, we might as well Control scroll up, make that nice and bright. Cool, that's all that I'd do here for now. Moving on to the next section here. So because we're transitioning into sort of another area, I'd probably like to indicate that by just making sort of a little transition spot here. One thing that you could do is maybe drop this ceiling down, I don't know, 2, 3, 4. Actually, one thing that I'll do as well. So I've made this sort of in between sector here. If I click that one and then hold down shift and click out here, that's going to select all of this ceiling with this texture all the way through there. So you see it's got that one as well. And because I've blocked off this side, it's sort of like a flood select. It doesn't select anything that's been blocked off on the other side. It's a good way to quickly grab the things that you need. So I'm going to drop this down, I don't know, maybe just 2. So that's like 16 units down. You see we've got a misalignment now, so I'll just hold my mouse over here, Control A. But one thing that I'll probably do is make this, since it's another area, make it an interim texture somewhere here, so like little support beam or barrier or something here. We could just reuse this maybe comp span or something. So I might just grab this one here for now. And you've already got comp span in here somewhere, so we'll grab that. Just going to align this up somewhere like that. Other side as well. Oh, Control C. There we go. Pop it over here. That'll do. Another good rule of thumb is to use things like supports. Break up your textures a lot, especially if you've got long runners, like long wall runners. So I heard a good rule of thumb at some point back in the day that if you go any more than about 256 units, you'd want to break up the wall with something from there. So we might just go, in this case, somewhere in the middle here. Just going to put a vertex here. One thing I really like to do is anytime there's a corner, have like a different texture there to sort of indicate there's maybe like a support beam or something going on there. So I like to do the corners. I'll do these middles here. Might even go so far as to do these corners over here. Here and here and here and here. Cool. And we'll just run through. I've still got this comp span texture set. So I'm just going to paste it all on all of these little areas here. Here. Couple over here. One there. Couple over here. One there. One there. One there. One there. Now they didn't align very nicely, obviously, so we'll just align them up. So that one's not too bad. Control A to align the other texture there. Same thing here. Control A. Pop it down. Control A. Control A. This one's messy. Every one of them's messy. Unfortunately, Doom can be a little bit finicky like this. It's a fantastic way to build maps, but also there are, limitations in Doom like this. Well, not limitations, but just little quirks. Cool. Nearly done. I forgot this middle texture here. I'll just put that there to break up that a little bit. If you wanted to go crazy, you could build it out into a little pillar or something, but no need to do that in this case. So once again, I'd like to play with light levels. So a couple of things I want to do here. I want to break up these little nooks here, and actually I'm going to grab these and delete those out as well, because not really necessary to have them. I'll just push this up a little bit till it's, I don't know where a good spot will be, somewhere like that. No, maybe more like that. There we go. Yeah, just again, it's not necessary to have them as built-in sectors if they're just there for pillars. Cool, so we've got these two little side nooks. We've got this section here. What I want to do is click there and then shift click here to grab all of this over here. I'm going to drop this down maybe to about 160, so it's about 4 or 5 notches, just so when you come in this way it's a little bit darker. It just adds a little bit of that atmosphere. Might just put this step texture up on there as well, why not? Cool. Can drop this down like one on either side. Put the little step textures in there. Step texture, step texture. I want these sides to be really dark. So I'm going to put them right down to about 96, which is quite dark. My screen actually shows it a little bit brighter than it'll actually play in game. Cool. And same with this sort of area here, but we do have a blue key here, and I would like to sort of highlight that. So what I want to do is grab this ellipse mode here. So I'm going to draw an ellipse. You can change your settings with these up the top here. There's lots of details to get into with this. I won't bother you with all of it in this section, but it's worth playing with. One of the things is it lets you build from the middle, so I like to click where I want to build from, and then work out from there. So just building this little ellipse here, which is just going to be a little pillar. And what I want to do is really contrast this. So I'm dropping this light level quite low, down to 88. And I'm going to bring this one quite far up. And that's going to really highlight this blue key so people can see it easily and understand that's where they want to go. That's what they want to get. Just add that step texture here as well. There it is. Cool. So there you go. There's your highlighted blue key. Now this secret here, which stumped me for a little bit, it's just one little flat sort of section, and your things can get a little bit squashed in there. It's not a big deal, especially if you don't have like monsters or something in here. But as for sort of just quality of life or something, I would probably recommend building it out, make it even quite thin, build it out into a little rectangle door, and then just going to sector mode, pressing F to flip all those line depths inside. We'll just grab these four here, also make them doors. Player presses use repeatable, door, raise, normal speed, don't need to tag it because it'll just do the thing behind it. Doom default's fine. Cool, so that's now a door, so if somebody gets caught inside here, they can press it again to open it back up. Let's get rid of those things, hide them again. And then I'll bring this up somewhere. Let's see where we need to go. These missing textures are really good indicators for like your height. So this is 128, 2 lots of 64 high. Might change this texture to maybe the comp span. Probably the same with this texture underneath here, and even these walls. It's a nice sort of like generic one. Darken this up nicely, give it maybe a strobe effect or something. Light phased will do. Just so it's interesting when it's opened up. Cool. So that's that secret sorted. You see it's kind of squished because we lowered this ceiling down a little bit. What I might do is I've shift clicked that to grab all those textures, and if you use your keypad you can stretch out those textures. So 8 stretches it up, 5 stretches it down, 4 stretches it to the left, and then 5 stretches it out, so in and out. So do it about there, and then Control A to align the other ones roughly. It's not going to be perfect. Can probably just give it a little tweak, something like that. Cool. Get across there, that'll do, whatever. Just so it looks a little bit more complete, doesn't look a little bit squashed in there. Cool. That's about all I do in this area. So this is a blue door, so we'd like to indicate that. Sorry, so we'll do that by using the blue light texture. So just going to put these little nubbins out again, do the same on the other side. Just in vertex mode here. Once again, I like to have these little lips. Pop it up a little bit, pop it down a little bit. Same on the other side. Cool. Underneath here, I'll grab that texture, pop it on the bottom as that transition texture. Once again, I like to have them about 16 instead of 32, so I'll just shrink that down a little bit. Cool. Grab the step textures, pop them on either side, and then for maybe this texture, these two here, these two here, we will turn them into that blue light texture, which is somewhere, there's a whole bunch of them. We'll go this one, why not? Line it up, there we go. Just make sure it's all aligned on each of them. Control A, Control A, Control A, Control A, cool. Could also even pop a vertex on each side here. And just Control A again if it's not behaving. There we go. And might be getting a little bit pedantic here, but because there's like a little 8 wide bit here, I might use that door stop texture just to make it look a little bit different. Cool. I might even put that there so it sort of looks like what we're doing is we're transitioning from inside, and here's like a little step, and then it comes down onto this sort of grassy texture. Once again, in this room, probably darken it up a little bit just for fun. You could add extra definition again to these sort of walls if you wanted to. I won't do that in this area just for now. But one thing that I will do is we're transitioning from this sort of tartan texture to this ruddy brick one. So we'd like to have a barrier texture there, or a transition texture, to sort of indicate that we're transitioning. Otherwise it can look a little bit sudden, a little bit jarring. So sometimes there's support 3. We'll do this one. See if we can line that up nicely. Let's just go there and then bring that in. So it looks like it's 24 wide on that bigger bit. Yep, cool. Something like that. And that just helps it look like it exists in, there's two distinct separate areas. There's this part of the building, then there's another undercover part here. And it's good that you've signposted your exit, something that I'm guilty of not doing sometimes, because that way at least everybody knows that if they hit this switch, they can't go back and look for secrets and stuff. One last thing to mention, this sort of paper thin ceiling bit happening here. If we just select this, scroll it up 1 or 2, and then just maybe even just grab that brick and just pop it up there, that makes it look a bit more like it's a, it's a ceiling top. Control A, just align everything. Same with everything else. So run back through map quickly, just hit Control A everywhere. Cool. Alright, I think that's all that I would do just for the quick changes. Give it a quick run and see how it looks, hey? Alright, secret here. That's very ominous now. Oh, that must only be available on higher difficulties or something. This has only hurt me plenty, I think. Didn't realise you'd put in some difficulty differences. Cool. So I've got a little bit of depth here with these, nice shadowy pillars. Kill these guys. Now this is coming in, it's a little bit lower, a little bit more cramped, a little bit darker. Burn our way through here. Got these little side nooks now, they're nice and dark and spooky. Could even make these blink with light or something maybe. Got this in here. See, this is lighting up nice and phased. Blue key is very obvious here. grab that, pop around the other side. Nice lights popping out here. Clearly signposted blue doors here into some darker area. Come on through. Get absolutely demolished by some shotgun guys. And then that looks a little bit cleaner. Grab the last secret. Oh, there's one little thing that we haven't fixed up. We'll go out and fix that up now. It's a good example of why you should playtest your maps and check it out. There's always little things that you can miss. So what's happened there is we just haven't bumped up the inner texture there. I'll just turn that into sky texture, and that'll fix that. Cool. That's all I've got for you. I hope that's helpful in some way, shape or form. Maybe it's not. You can ignore everything that I said. I think it's really good to learn the rules and then learn, well, the rules of thumb is what I mean. So learn, that 256 rule and lighting and all that kind of stuff. And then you'll be able to, start to learn what rules you can break and bend and how you can change things around to make it interesting and have your own touch on things. So keep on mapping. Doing great. It's a good little first map. You've done well. You've got good separated sectors. You've done difficulty scaling, which is something that I rarely do because I'm lazy. Done well. Cool. Hope this helps.